Let's bring in Douglas Holtz-Eakin, president of American Action Forum, which is a right-leaning think tank. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. A lot of talk about this also on the campaign trail. How would a sovereign wealth fund in the United States be different from the other investments that the government makes right now?
I don't know, to be perfectly honest. It's not clear. The Biden administration hasn't rolled out what they intend to do. The former President Trump was fairly vague about his proposal. But if you think about what other countries do with these funds, they, pick particular sectors of the economy to support. Well, the U.S. does that. It had a CHIPS Act for supporting semiconductors. It has developed fracking using Department of Energy programs. We've got the DARPA for advanced research in things which are national security related, the National Institutes of Health, which are doing advances in technologies for drugs and for devices. So the way the U.S. does this, it has programs, it raises taxes or borrows and spends it for those national purposes. So it's not obvious what having the money sitting in a fund would change on that front. We do the same thing internationally. China had the Belt and Road, so we developed the International Development Finance Corporation and passed that in the 2018 Build Act. So to my eye, there's no problem that this solves. We're already doing the things that you want to accomplish on strategic objectives, international relations, and all this would do would be to take funds that would be otherwise available for government budgeting and other purposes and sequester them away and have greater executive control over them, less scrutiny. I don't know. Those are the details, but nothing about that sounds like something the U.S. needs.
As mentioned earlier, China and Saudi Arabia, two countries that have these sorts of funds. How exactly are they using them?
Well, they're certainly trying to use them for their strategic economic development. China has a very centrally directed economy, much more so than the United States. So they're not comparable in that way. The Saudis are interested in international relations, so they're investing in other countries, trying to have allies in the Middle East. Those are objectives the U.S. cares about. We care about being competitive internationally. We just go about them a different way. And to be blunt, this federal government doesn't accumulate wealth. It runs debts. We're the opposite of a wealth fund. We're a big debt fund. And getting the federal government to stop generating debt is a bigger challenge than a sovereign wealth fund.
Douglas, what are you hearing from both sides as to why the U.S. is starting to look into one of these now?
I think this reflects the recent trend toward the desire for greater executive control. The Biden administration's view is we can control what investments get made with this, so Congress won't be meddling in it. I just don't think that's A, appropriate in representative democracy, or B, likely to be successful. I mean, Congress doesn't let large amounts of money go spent without its oversight, without its authorization. So that's not going to work. What Mr. Trump wants to do, he's not been clear yet. He mentioned vaguely, health advances, infrastructure, but these are all things we have programs for. So what additional capabilities this would have, I don't know.
Yeah, because you bring up a good point. I mean, as we're watching the spending battle just begin this time around to play out in Washington, it seems like Congress is having a difficult time, they always do, figuring out where exactly money should go. So it's unclear exactly how this would play out. When you look at a sovereign wealth fund, what do we know about return on investment? I think of the Saudis have made a lot of headlines with in the world of sports, spending a lot of money on athletes. But if the United States were to do this, how is it something that we would see money come back our way?
I don't think it's likely to, because the starting point would be buy a big index fund called the U.S. economy and get the rate of return on the U.S. economy. You can essentially do that if you have purely economic objectives, but usually you have greater than economic objectives. You have some international relations where you'll settle for a lower return in order to cultivate a friendship abroad. You have strategic development of a sector. Well, that's upfront costs and not returns. So you would expect the financial return on this to probably be lower than you had other opportunities to get, but you better be getting some payoff in the form of national security or strategic advantage to compensate for that.
And for the average American who's just sitting at home hearing sovereign wealth fund,
what are we doing?
Douglas, how does it impact them? What would you say?
I think not at all, because there would be nothing new in terms of objectives and capabilities that I can see. And as I said before, they would have to levy taxes, not spend the money, and accumulate it. And we haven't seen the federal government do that for over 25 years.
All right, Douglas Holtz-Eakin with the American Action Forum. Douglas, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it.